Hi, guys. This is Melody with Journey of a Joyful Life podcast. I'm so glad that you chose to watch today or listen, however you choose to come to our podcast. But we're glad to be here. We've taken a little stint off, and today's our first day back. I'm really glad to be back. I'm really excited for the next few weeks. We're going to be interviewing some dads. And our previous podcast segment was with moms. And so this time we're going to be meeting specifically with dads. And today I have a dad from the community, Justin. We're so glad that you're here. Thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here, Melody. Appreciate you inviting me and getting to share a little bit.
Yeah, I'm excited. So normally what we do at the beginning is just hear your story. And so if you would be willing to share your story, obviously our podcast is just around talking about our families and our kiddos with disabilities. And so you can go as far back in your story as you'd like, but maybe kind of like end with who your son is.
Okay, well, I'm Justin. I'm 44. I'm a single dad. Got two sons. Eric is 8, totally neurotypical, and Athen is 10. He's autistic, nonverbal, has epilepsy, has some high needs. And obviously I've been a dad since they were alive, but been a single dad for about 5 to 6 years now. And so, a lot of my life revolves around meeting Athen's needs, it's a full-time job, and I do have him full-time. So there's a lot that comes with that, ups and downs and ins and outs. He's a bright light, right? There's a lot of, I think most parents know this in the special needs community. It's like with great sacrifice comes great reward, and we do our thing. I work, I take care of him, we do a few things here and there, but we got a pretty good routine and a pretty good structure, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I am going to make you, if you're willing, go way far back in your life. Okay. And who is Justin? Like, before being a dad, who is Justin? Because I think sometimes, we forget who we were before we had kids. I mean, any parent, really, your life totally changes. But, who were you before you had Eric and
I had kids probably a little bit later in life than some. I didn't start having kids till I was in my 30s. So I did the high school thing, did the college thing, started working. I'm a creative professional, so I used to do a lot of photography, graphic design, and always kind of viewed myself as an artist or a creator. I mean, that's kind of what fuels me. I still do work in a creative space. But having children, it shifts your priorities. I've been blessed to have a career at the same company for 20 years now. So that's a little different than what most people experience. This career that I've been in was right out of college, and I still continue to this day. So who am I compared to who I was before? More patient, more humble, more understanding, more forgiving.
Yeah.
I think I've always been a nice guy, but, I could have been a hothead back in the day. I could have been very impatient. I guess I still can be, but, with special needs, it's like trial by fire, especially when you're a single parent. I told somebody this once. There's nobody else to blame. So you can't walk around in a bad mood or irritable or impatient all the time, because you're going to point right back to yourself,
Exactly.
So that's kind of where I'm at. It's just, it's being a dad the majority of the time, and that's what my life centers around. Obviously, I have to work and I have to provide, but I've been very blessed with my career, and the company I work for is very flexible with me, understands my situation, accommodates me where they can. So I'm somebody that I really do get to prioritize being a parent.
Yeah.
And it makes you a lot more selfless, especially when you have a special needs child, because they have needs that, you've got to meet them.
Right. Exactly.
So,
well, tell us a little bit about Athen. If you don't mind just talking about, did you know from birth that Athen was going to be different?
So no, Athen's got a pretty typical story, like a lot of kids, where he was developing normally. And then that 1.5 year mark, he regressed, where he had a few words, he had plenty of eye contact, he had plenty of sort of normal emotions, and he sort of regressed over a couple weeks to months, right, where he lost his eye contact, got super hyper, stemmed a lot, just more irritable. He never slept well, but it got even worse. So we knew something was up, and then we went to the pediatrician, and he, told us what we kind of already knew.
Yeah.
We've been on a journey. I've been on a journey to sort of do everything medically that I can do. I never accepted like, oh, it's autism, that's it. I've always felt like there's definitely underlying medical issues there. Mm-hmm. And some we've improved, some we haven't. We've gotten new ones. I mentioned epilepsy. He didn't start having seizures till about 3 years ago. So he didn't start having seizures till he was about 7. And so that's kind of what we're currently dealing with. That's the priority from a medical standpoint, what I'm trying to treat and to improve, quite unsuccessfully thus far, but I'm the kind of parent that is like, I'm not just going to accept this is it. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, he has seizures once or twice a week, at most, usually. I'm fortunate in that, he could be having a lot often. But we really haven't found any medication that really improves the frequency on those. Okay. I've got some things that I want to do to actually address some of the underlying issues there. That's sort of in the near future. But Athen is nonverbal. He uses a tablet to type out what he wants and stuff. And if I rewind, we didn't have any perception of his cognitive abilities up until about 1 year ago.
Oh, wow.
And
was he communicating at all before?
He used a tablet. He was in ABA till he was 7, right? And then he got in public school. And so ABA was real focused on the tablet and using Proloquo, which is sort of a picture app. Yeah. And, it's a lot of memorization, and he could point to the ball, point to this, point to that, but I felt like it was memorization, right? I don't know that he ever really learned any of that. And then I kind of tried some things with him on his tablet with some letter boards and stuff like that, and basically realized that he did understand things and that he could spell, and that there was more than just memorization there, but he hadn't really ever been in an environment where he could show us that. ABA is it's a lot of memorization and do this for that kind of technique. Yeah. So we've been spelling for the last little over 1.5 years, I guess, or more. And that's just been, it's been huge. It was an answered prayer. It came at a time that was very dark, and you love your children, but not knowing what they know is it's difficult, right? Mm-hmm. And I could make him smile, I could make him laugh, we get along, but him not having a real way to express his needs prior to spelling was, I mean, it was tough.
Yeah. So does he come to you with a need, or is it instigated by you? Do you ask
So
him?
he will physically, you know, if he wants some snacks, he'll grab me and pull me to the pantry and that sort of thing. He doesn't tend to initiate going to his tablet. It's sort of always parked in our kitchen.
Okay.
But since he started spelling, I make it a point to like bring him to it frequently, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, anything you need to tell me? Hey, what do you want? Are you hungry? You know, because he tends to need to be grounded to sort of use the tablet. Not always. There are some situations where he's used it sort of on his own, but he has a lot of fine motor deficits. So, you know, if I put my hand under his, he feels more comfortable doing that. Or if I'm sort of holding on to him, you know, he's a very hyper child. So just being still enough to be able to just type on his tablet, and he uses one finger to sort of type on his tablet, you know. But that being said, I went to a full keyboard on his tablet. I didn't do the like 5-letter board. I mean, we went right to the keyboard. And once I saw that he could do it,
right,
I was like, there's no reason to go backwards. So,
right.
So he's been spelling, yeah, like I said, about 1.5 years on that. And sort of, you know, what he's been able to tell us is pretty, it goes from mundane to pretty profound. You know, basically found out he knows math, he knows spelling, you know, and this is stuff that none of his teachers would tell me that. Nobody in ABA would tell me that, you know. And then there's probably people that are like, well, why do you have to help him? But it's really just about the fine motor. It's hard for him to hold his hand out and type. It needs to be resting on something. Yes. So that's kind of where we're at. Is I'm just encouraging more tablet use. On an interesting note, you know, he uses his tablet very willingly with me. We've tried to get him to use it with other family members, and he won't. He has an aunt that she's an ABA tech or therapist. They're very close. He uses it very readily with her. So she's the one other person that he'll use it just easily with, whereas a lot of other family members and friends we've tried to get him to use it with, he just won't. And I don't know, for whatever reason, and I tell him, buddy, you've got to type with whoever your teachers are, your teacher's aides. But it's a challenge, and I don't know what it is, but it's just, he either feels comfortable with us. But so
he won't use it at school in that way.
He'll do very basic stuff. They still use the Proloquo at school. Okay. It seems like the school district tends to want to do the picture manding. His teachers last year would try to get him to use it, but most of the time he would just sort of start spelling nonsense on there, right? I call it gobbledygook. I'm like, buddy, you're spelling gobbledygook. This doesn't make sense, you know, and I try to get him to do it again. And if after a couple tries, he won't type anything coherent, and I say, all right, forget about it. We'll come back to this, right? He kind of has to be regulated.
Yeah. So what does he do to regulate himself? Like, how do you support him to regulate him at home?
He likes to eat. He's a big self-soother.
Okay.
He likes to jump on our trampoline. We have lots of swings. He's very active, right? He does have his favorite cartoon and stuff that he likes to watch when he wants to chill out. You know, when he actually wants to sort of really chill out and wind down, he's got one cartoon that he's been watching forever. That's his preference. You know, but he needs a lot of stimulation. He's a sensory seeker. So, jumping on the trampoline, he loves swinging, loves water. So anything with water, as far as pools, we go to the river by our house. There's kind of a sandbar. It's more of a creek. Yeah. I'm not just throwing my child into a river. It's a nice white sandbar beach, and the water's about 1 to 2 feet deep typically.
Aww, that's awesome.
Loves that. Like a lot of autistic kids. I mean, they love water.
Yeah.
So his soothing is really sensory seeking and doing things physically. You know,
How do he and Eric communicate, or do they have a relationship? What does that look like?
They do. It's very physical. You know, you
Okay.
could imagine 8 and 10-year-old brothers, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a
I
lot of
have two
horseplay, a lot of rough housing, sort of fake fighting, you know. Athen will sort of do the like, I'm pestering you, tag, you're it. Okay, brother fake punches, kicks, whatever. You know, Eric's at an age where he engages with them, but he's also into his own things now too. So I wish there was a little more engagement there, but I kind of have seen that comes and goes in phases, right? Where it goes up and then goes down.
That's pretty typical with any siblings. I mean, you have those times of you're closer, or times you just like are annoyed or whatever. How is it for you to be a father to a kid with so many needs that you are like supporting all the time, and then also to Eric? Like, how does that work for you? How does that make you feel? How's your relationship with Eric?
It's good. You know, I've been able to have caregivers for the last couple years. And so I have to utilize, you know, times that caregivers are there to be able to do a lot one-on-one with Eric, because he definitely needs, you know, he needs my attention because so much attention is given to his brother. And he understands it, but he's only 8. So, you know, he needs the attention. So when we get time, I try to do one-on-one stuff with him, take him places, go do things. You know, but there's also time, example, you know, Athen tends to go to bed earlier than us. So I'll stay up late with Eric or later, you know, and he's on his tablet and he's next to me. I'm watching TV. We're, you know, hey, look at this, Dad, look at that, you know. So he gets some of that. So that's the typical.
Yeah, that's good.
That's the typical day in and day out with those two.
Right. So how do you navigate the professional world as a dad of a kid with disabilities? Because, I mean, I just know from experience, sometimes it can be hard when people have no idea. They just do not get you.
Yeah.
They don't get your perspective. And sometimes it can feel isolating. And so, I mean, I guess there's multiple ways to deal with it, right? Like you could just completely avoid the cons, like talking about it, or, you know, then you just don't. I don't know. It can be difficult. I think
funny.
men and women
It's funny because I joke. So I preface that I've been at my company for 20 years. So a lot of my coworkers I have known for a long time.
Yeah, that's right.
And I jokingly refer to, you know, like our lunchtime as like therapy hour for all of us, right?
That's awesome.
So I don't have a problem sharing with a large number of my coworkers, most of which I've known 10, 15, even 20 plus years, you know, and fortunately I have some that I'm really close with.
Yeah.
And we have a great company that's very understanding of my situation, you know, and they accommodate me, you know, but I have a basic 9 to 5 sort of office job. You know, I could probably do my job out of office from home, but I don't want to be at home. I joke to everybody, I'm at home enough.
Yeah.
Like, let me go to the office.
It's like your break to go to work. Yes.
Yeah. I joke with my boss, right? This is my, what do I say? This is my safe place. Like this is easy up here, you know, this is easy. It's a break. And I don't have a particularly stressful job. So I'm blessed in that regard.
Yeah, for sure.
I could see, I mean, I'm very thankful because I'm like, man, if you have a stressful job with a special needs child and you are a single parent, I mean, that is a double whammy, right? Like,
yeah, it can be a really heavy load to have to carry when you're already carrying something.
Yeah.
And so what do you do for self-care? I mean, I know you have your therapy hour at work, but you know, if you
when I get time, most of the time I have off, I hit the gym first. You know, it's not a ton, but I like going to the gym. You know, I tend to just run errands when I have a little free time.
Yeah.
You know, self-care for me is if I have free time is to try not to rush getting stuff done. Because that's what I tend to do is just you're constantly rushing, trying to get everything done. So I have to constantly talk myself, okay, you've got a day or you've got 6 hours or you've got 3 hours. Okay. Don't try to cram everything into this 3 hour break that you have.
Yes.
Like do one thing and,
Yeah.
next time do something else.
That's good. That's really good. That's also hard.
Yeah, it is.
That can be really difficult to space out your things that you need to do, but I can totally see the benefit of that.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people who don't understand the life of having a child with a disability and also don't understand the life of being single, from their perspective, from the outside looking in, it's just so obscure, so far away that they can't even put themselves in that position. And if you were to come in contact or meet someone like that, how would you normalize it? How would you, because I think for us, we live it every day. This is what we do. We can almost, I don't know, I feel like for myself, I can almost not imagine another life because this is just what we do. But if you were to imagine someone else like looking in and seeing, how would you normalize your life to someone else who has no clue what you do? To a guy, like to a man?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, I mentioned like we're pretty efficient, right? And I have a pretty streamlined, efficient life that we've sort of built. Not everything goes as planned. If it was another man, roughly my age looking in, I think it's hard for probably most guys to actually picture taking care of children full time, regardless of special needs.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not going to say it's a feminine role. Obviously dads take care of their children, but like doing everything is a different world. Even if it's just a neurotypical child. I don't think that most men can sort of picture what that looks like. I think for me, I just accept it, and it's my responsibility. And part of I guess you could say my childhood sort of, it kind of prepared me for this. I grew up with a single mom. My dad was never around. So then when I had kids, it's like, regardless of what happens with me and your mom, like they're my responsibility. Like, so if that's changing diapers, it's changing diapers. If it's changing diapers and paying the bills, it's what it is. Yeah. And I judge myself pretty strongly on doing those things, because at the end of the day, it's like, what are you going to do? Make excuses? Like, then don't make excuses. I mean, sure, there's going to be times you're going to fall short, but for me, I have to do it. Yeah. Is it nice to get help once in a while? Sure. And do you need to prepare for the future and plan ahead? Of course, but you just got to handle your business, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we respond in our life based on our traumas or, I mean, what we've been through creates who we become, and it could be good or bad, and so how that's shaped you, it's definitely been obviously for the good, but I can't imagine having that life growing up and then probably just thinking like, I'm going to be there for my kids. I'm not going to not be there. Did you feel that way because your dad wasn't there for you?
So I describe this, and I'm blessed in this regard, and this is something that didn't dawn on me till probably the last number of years. So I always say I had opposite ends of the spectrum. I had a mother that was a single mother that did everything she needed to do right to raise two kids on her own, right? She wasn't out drinking. We were in church all the time, and she was single the majority of the time we were, growing up. So she never prioritized dating or particularly finding new partners and that sort of thing. So I got to witness a mom that did everything right. But then, on the opposite end of the spectrum, it was my father who sort of just left and never came back. And so I looked at those two opposite ends of the spectrum, and it was like, okay, I have the good example and I have the bad example, and they both strengthened me, right?
Right.
They both they both impacted me. So I had two perspectives, you know, and I feel like that's better. You know, there's people that only have one perspective sometimes in those situations, and it can work for your good. But
Yeah.
I look back now and I'm like, oh, that definitely formed who I am in that regard.
Yeah, for sure. Well, are you willing to talk about your faith? How do you?
My faith is complicated. It's sort of ever changing. You know, my son kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of I'm not going to say reanimated my faith. You know, my faith was at a very low point the last couple years. And then, you know, my son sort of sharing things with me, his perspectives on God and things, it definitely got me back into a place of faith.
Because your son talks about the Lord, right?
Yeah, he mentions God a lot, and he references the Bible a lot. So he's very direct about God. He's very direct about prayer. He mentions the Bible, and I'll preface, like, we haven't been in church, so his reference to the Bible, it isn't because I'm sitting there reading it to him all the time. It's not because I'm watching televangelist on TV. It's not because, like, we're in church every day. This is what he's chosen to focus on and share.
Wow.
Like,
that's incredible.
So
God is using your non-speaking child to even speak to you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he has an opinion on God and the Bible for sure. And he's constantly emphasizing to read the Bible, which I said is really interesting. You know, because I grew up in a very strict Christian home, and that sort of dogmatic programming. You understand, and you see children that do that.
Right.
This was not that.
Right.
This is him picking something or it choosing him, and like, this is what I'm sharing.
Yeah, intrinsically.
Yeah. Right.
Wow. That's so cool.
He's I'll say this. I mean, I refer to it as, like, he's just directly connected to sort of God and, if you will, everyone, in a way that I don't think most people are. You know, I think it's referenced, it's mentioned in the Bible and a lot of ancient spiritual texts, but I think my son, along with a lot of other kids in this situation, they are connected. They know it. And I think it's starting to be known that they are.
For sure.
I'm not going to say it's undeniable, because there are people that, you know, sort of naysay all of it, but it's generally people that have no experience with these kids,
right,
and don't have any perspective on them.
Right. Oh, for sure. My non-speaking son, I feel like, knows everything about everybody. I mean, just how he perceives a person walking up. You just know how his body changes. Yeah. He totally gets exactly where someone's coming from, how they respond when he whacks them with his little toy that he loves, and that's the way he communicates with them. And then immediately, you know, he makes a decision. Yeah. Am I going to interact or not interact? You know, it's so sensitive.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to hear a little bit about, if you were going to talk to somebody who just found out that their child had a disability, like they were just diagnosed to a dad, and, like, you know what that feels like, and you know the road, you know, here 8 years later after diagnosis, kind of, what would you say to encourage a man that's about to walk this road that's going to be really hard?
You know, you've just got to love them, and you have to find the small things that make them happy and make you happy. You know, for Athen, for years, it was me making him laugh, whether I'm tickling him, we're jumping on the trampoline, you know, whatever. As long as I can make him happy, you know, then he made me happy. And there's a lot of stressful stuff in there, a lot of medical stuff in there. But it's each day, right? It's each day. It doesn't mean give up on pursuing things medically, you know, that could improve their life, your life. But it's finding the small things. And that sounds cliche, but with each kid, it's going to be something different, right? In his case, physical play, laughter, engaging physically, wrestling, tickling, that sort of thing. If it was a really rough day where he's stimming nonstop and we're having medical issues, if there were 3 or 4 points in the day where he's cracking up and he's laughing and we're having fun, then okay, like that's something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. I think it can be really overwhelming to think about like the rest of your life, and sometimes people go there too fast, and we just need to think about today. Like today, how do you make your kid happy?
And that's part of the problem in modern society. It's like plan to have kids and then plan the rest of your life instead of actually raising them and being in the moment and taking it day at a time, week at a time, month at a time, and so on. I mean, obviously you need to plan ahead, but like you need to live in the present to a certain degree.
Right, exactly. Well, I mean, we're not promised tomorrow, right? And the Bible
that's
says that.
right. That's the other part of it, right?
So I think living for today and just serving our kids the best we can, like that's serving God too in the same way.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you coming and sharing and just telling your story and being the first dad to come and open up and share. And
thanks for having me.
Grateful for
it was fun.
That. Yeah, it was great. Thanks so much. All right, guys. Well, tune in next time for the next dad we'll have coming on our podcast. Thanks for coming today.